Hi everybody, today we want to show you how to make a Christmas bulb topiary. I hope I pronounced that right. But the things you're going to need are, of course, the Christmas bulbs. You may have some of these at your house, you can recycle, but we got these from our local discount store, Ollie's, and we also got a few more from Walmart and other places. You're going to need Floral Foam, some battery operated lights, a dowel, Garland. We got this in a bucket to put this in. We got this from Walmart. I think it was $2.99. And you're gonna need some rocks. This is to set inside to help make your thing sturdy so it doesn't blow away. You're gonna need a box cutter, scissors, some wire cutters, and some E6000 glue, and also a low temp heat gun, glue gun, and a high temp glue gun. The low temp is for actually gluing the stuff together. The high temp is what we're going to show you is for melting the bulbs. Okay, everybody, we're going to get started with our craft. First thing you're going to need to do is take your pot, the pot that is good for outdoors. And if you do this for inside, it doesn't really matter which one you use, but for outside, you need something that's going to be sturdy enough to withhold the weather. First you're going to do is take your styrofoam in your pot. We're going to move it down here. And all you got to do, now this, best to use low temp glue gun for this because the high temp kind of tends to mess up your foam. So all you're going to do is just glue that really good on the outside, on the part of your foam, and just stick it down inside. And just hold that there for just a few seconds, just to kind of press down on it. It shouldn't take too long because it's the low temp glue, but it'll still hold just as good. Okay, once we got that in there, first thing you're going to do is, I'm going to take this around here so you can't see this. Okay, the next step is, you're going to try and center your pole, your dowel in the middle of that foam in your pot, and you're just going to press down on it. And that's all you got to do with that. Bring this around here and we're just going to set that to the side. And now we're going to start on your bulbs. Well, actually first, this is an option that you can do. You can actually fill your pot with stuff if you like. But we found that if you put a lid on top of it, it helps stabilize the pole on the inside. And it holds it a little straighter for you also. And this also, once you put the pole down in there, you can get you see where we've got it marked? I may have to remark it, but you just put the hole. I took a ruler and I just made an X on the thing. That's just to get the center of the hole. And you're gonna take your glue gun and just melt a hole straight through that. So don't worry about it if anything's on it. If it's a piece of cardboard, you can just cut through it. With this being plastic, it's just easier to melt through it with your glue gun. And this is why you don't glue your dowel down just yet. You're just going to use this to kind of get your measurements to make sure everything's going through right. And you can see this is just a leftover piece of plastic that we have from something else. And it's going to be covered, so don't worry about that. So just place your piece of plastic or your lid on top. And if you need to, and you can lift it up too, just to see where your dowel needs to go on your foam. We can place it down there. Okay, once you get your hole big enough for your dowel to go through, just put it down in there. Just make sure it's flush with your bucket, and just take your pencil and mark it. That's all you gotta do. And this is going to be your guide, and this will help you see how many bulbs you're going to need also. with the size of bulbs that we use, we ended up needing 5 big ones and then our 1 little small topper. And I'm gonna take this out. Don't glue everything, like I said before, don't glue everything on your rod until you're completely done, because you're gonna need this the size of the holes for your bulb. As you can see, we already got a few here done. It's best to go ahead and get all your bulbs done and then assemble. You can always, you can measure also too to see how many bulbs you'll need from that. You can help it measure that way also. And if you want, you can save these little pieces. It's up to you for like another craft. And what we're gonna do is just take, just the same as we did to this one, over the top of your bucket. We're gonna take this and just melt through your bulb. Just please be careful with your hot glue gun because they are hot. Okay, once you got the hole big enough that your rod is going to go through, we did find that on these glitter ones, it's really hard to judge the, it's hard to see that seam, because with these, it's a little easier to see the seam right there, and you can measure it easier. But with these, if you use the glittery one, what you're going to do, I'm going to come around here so you can see it. Put your rod on the ground or in your pot, it's up to you. Just get it straight where it's not crooked or anything. Look straight to you. And then you're gonna take your glue gun, just hold it down, and you're gonna start your hole. And once you get that started, you can just repeat like you did for the bottom part of it. Just keep measuring the rod until you get the hole big enough. And this just keeps it straighter for you, the way it doesn't look crooked on your rod. When you get to your last big bulb, you're gonna do it just a little different. Not by much, but just a little. There. You're going to still take this part off, and you're going to repeat the bottom of your step. It's just, don't put a hole at the top of this one. We're going to show you what to do with that one in just a moment. But just the bottom part of it, just repeat the same as you did for all your other ones. Should be good enough right there. So this one is going to be your topper and your rod, so you don't have to put the hole in it just yet. So what we're going to do is clean that off. Get all that plastic off. And we're going to try and start assembling this. We're going to put your rod back in. Make sure you use the part you marked at the bottom. Just make sure the rod's straight. Get it settled in there. Because you can put rocks on the inside of this also. Because we're going to be moving this, I'm just going to leave these in the bag just to show you. Because this will make it heavy. So once you get it settled where you want it, and just place your rocks down in there. And this will help sturdy your rod also. Like I said, I'm just going to leave these in the bag just for demonstration purposes, because until we get this settled where we want it, and this makes it sturdy, it's really strong too. Use as many rocks as you want to help sturdy your craft. I'm going to move this to the floor just because our counter is kind of high for this purpose, and this will just help you start. Now if you want to keep them in the same pattern If you make more than one, which we did, I'm gonna just make sure my pattern is the same on both of them, because these look good as pairs on either side of your porch also. So if you see me looking back and forth, it's because I'm looking at our other one and make sure I got our pattern right. And this is why I said if you take your bulbs and go ahead and get it all, these all done, it's just easy to assemble. And I'm going to glue these in just a moment. Once you get your last one on, just make sure your pole's straight because you're going to be moving it as you do that. So just kind of eyeball it. Make sure your pole's straight. Now you're going to put, you can glue these if you want, but the only really one we glued was the top one because the gravity of all this anyway is going to help hold it down, and it shouldn't move that much because you've got your rocks in there too. But you have an option, you can glue these if you want. Okay, make sure this one's sturdy. And don't worry if you see gaps, because we will be putting Garland, and you can put ribbon around it too, but we decided to use Garland on ours. Just kind of make sure he's a little too straight. Now this one I will be gluing on. The top one I do glue on. Just like this. I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue on top of my pole here. That's gonna help him hold too. Because I want to make sure he's straight. So this is where our chopper is gonna go on top. Just put a little glue on that side to reinforce it. Just want to make sure he's sturdy and straight. You just have to play around with it just a little, just to make sure he's where he needs to be. And the Garland will help hold it too. I think he's straight. Now we're going to take our topper and just the same as the other one, just take that piece that usually hangs on the Christmas tree, just take it off. And if you want, you can either glue that like that on top, but we chose to make a little hole on top. This was what I was saying, this one is going to be just a tad different than the other ones, because this one doesn't need to be as big. You just want to make sure he's straight. This is going to be the hardest part of just making sure it's just straight, because you don't want it to look crooked on you. And I actually took a pencil and just kind of mark. Yeah. You can set that to the side and just make your little hole, and just keep judging it just as you did with your dowel. Just use your ornament this time to judge how big your hole needs to be. Okay, once you get that in place, just stick your bulb down in there, And I'm just going to squeeze some of this glue around it. Readjust this real quick because I feel it move on me. Now this is why I said you're going to have the hot glue and E6000, because this hot glue is going to help it hold while the E6000 glue dries. But don't worry about this part. I mean, don't put an excess amount of hot glue, but your garland will cover up some of this, okay? So you don't have to worry about that. And you're going to need to hold this in place for just a few seconds, just to kind of help gravity out a little. But while we let that dry, after that, we're going to come back and put your garland on. Okay, we let this dry, and what we're going to do now is we're going to take our garland, which we got from Dollar Tree. It'll probably take you at least 1.5 of these to do this. Most of it's going to be at the bottom, because what we're going to do is use this garland to cover up this lid that we made. What you're going to do is just take, work your way inside outward. We found that was the best way. You can take a little bit of glue if you want, and hot glue the part that started with. We also took just a clear stick pin and stuck it down in there to help hold that also. Now I hope you get started. And what you're going to do is just twirl this all the way around. And this is why it's best just to hot glue that and pin it. It'll help you hold it in place while you try to get this twirled around. And once you get towards the end, just kind of make sure you go around the edges of that the plastic or cardboard, whatever you use for your lid, if you use a lid. If you don't use a lid, just make sure you fill the top part of that with garland, so it'll help cover your whatever you use as your base. And once you get that in position where you like it, you can go back in and put little dabs of hot glue if you need to help hold that, but because it's wire, it holds itself pretty well. Now we're going to you might want to take a piece and measure first before you cut it off, but we had already done one, so we know that our piece is going to take about this big of a piece here. And the bigger your bulbs, the more you're going to need in the middle, so just keep that in mind also. And I'm just going to use this, and I need 4 pieces, and then a smaller piece at the top. So I'm just going to use this to cut this. You're going to need some wire cutters or some really sharp scissors to cut through this wire. Okay. And it looks like you're going to be able to get, if you do 2 like we did, we used 2 solid pieces, and then the third pack was for just the top, so it will only take 3 packs of garland to do all of these. Now I'm going to go through and put these on. And what I did was I just kind of wrapped it around itself. I didn't use any glue for this. I just used the wiring to help hold this in. Just make sure that end piece you tie it around itself at least twice, just to kind of help hold it, like you're securing a twist tie. Now once you get your garland on, all that's left to do is, we've got these LED lights from Ollie's, and we were lucky enough to find one with timers on them. And I'd recommend getting timers, that way it doesn't run your battery down. Plus it doesn't run your battery down. Plus you don't have to go outside and cut them on and off all night. And because it's being a Christmas decoration, it'll be getting colder. So just a easy thing, good trick to have is have your stuff on timers, especially during the night time. Putting your lights on. And you just wrap it around a couple of times, depending on how many lights you want on it. You just want to make sure you get to the top. And this is usually my favorite part of Christmas, is the Christmas tree lights. And you can use color lights if you can find them. We use white lights because it matches our color scheme better. But if you want to use color lights, you can also use color lights. Now, last one, just kind of twist it on the inside. Don't get it tangled, but just twist it enough just to where it will help hold it at the top. And there you have it. And these will be beautiful additions to the side of your porch or inside your house. And they're beautiful lit up. And I'll show you at the end of the video where we got them lit up.